EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. We just wrapped up day 2 of the Philadelphia Eagles on the field at training camp. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday evening, brother?
Doing well, hopefully. Little delay. I don't know what's going on. We had a delay yesterday.
Yeah,
A little bit of a delay today.
Are we
Nothing.
delayed again?
Is it me? Is it me? Is it you? I don't know. I never know. But
Oh, no.
for those, hopefully, who can hear me, thank you. Can't hear me?
Yeah, no, they can hear you. They can hear you. It is delayed. I could tell by your response to my opening question. So just gonna have to give it a second there for those listening. Sorry about that. I'll try and see if I can fix it. We'll have Jeff Kerr on a little bit later on. Maybe I can fix it by then. I'll have to drop out and drop back in, and I'll try and do that. But J-Mac, what were your first couple takeaways? We're on the day 2 today. We got plenty of stuff to talk about again here with the team. All sorts of Jordan Davis stuff. Jihad Campbell. Bunch of players spoke, and this Vic Fangio day, as we talked about this morning, which is always a fun one. John, some of your key takeaways, some of the things top of mind for you after day 2 of Eagles training camp.
Yeah, it was Vic Day. Vic delivered. He delivered on a couple points, mainly poking at the training staff that told him Jihad Campbell wouldn't be ready till August. So he said they like to understate things and overachieve. Evidently, He's learning about the training staff. So he did that. And then when he was asked about Jordan Mailata and Jalen Hurts, and it was actually a little bit different with the reporter who asked got it a little bit wrong. AJ Brown, he said something nice about Drew McCuba. Actually, AJ said something very nice about Cooper DeJean, and Vic didn't exactly swat that down, but he swatted the other stuff down, and it was pretty funny moments where basically he said, "Did you guys laugh?" And I was, of course, he was looking at me because I was in the front row, and I said, I did chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, you could.
And he said it should have been a belly laugh.
I could hear you on the Eagles stream of the presser. I could hear you saying, I did.
Yeah. I was right in front, so he's kind of looking at me. And I said, I chuckled a little, is what I told him. And he said, well, it should have been a belly laugh. And, not that Jalix isn't performing well. He's had a nice 2 days, but, I'll tell you, man, Vic is not for the faint of heart because, as I say all the time, he'll tell the truth. And he told the truth. And, because that's a big comparison, which I get that Eagles fans don't like because Mike is a Cowboy, but Mike is very good. So basically what he said was, that's reckless. They overdid it basically. And he called it reckless.
What word did
which is reckless.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, both of them overdid it. And then he said, come on, and laughed. Now again, what the phrasing of the question was, Mailata was really complimentary of Jalen Hurts yesterday, and even mentioned Micah Parsons, and then AJ Brown was complimentary of Drew McCuba, which was incorrect. He was complimentary of Cooper DeJean, called him All-Pro Coop, which when that was explained to Vic afterwards, corrected. He wasn't exactly fending that off as much because Cooper's really good. Now he's not going that far, but all pro yet. But Cooper's farther along, obviously. So that made more sense to him than Hunt and McCuba, who basically haven't done much. And as I always point out on this show, Micah Parsons is a good player. Yeah, I know Eagles fans don't like that, but he's a really good player. And that's sort of the one that, Vic said should have been a belly laugh. Because, you can't expect Nolan Smith to be Micah Parsons. Never mind Jalek's Hunt. So, and then he said it was reckless. But that in the training staff with Jihad Campbell was pretty funny for Vic. And it was, lighthearted for anyone who saw it. He was laughing about it, but the guys probably won't go that far. And it was interesting because then after practice, and I'm sure Nolan didn't hear any of that because he was on the practice field, and he called Jalix the best thing since sliced bread. So he's getting a lot of praise from his teammates.
A lot of rat poison, John. A lot of rat poison on Jalix Hunt. He's going to have to weather the storm. We'll see how it all shakes out. John, how about on the field? Any key takeaways before we're going to dive into everything specifically. Don't worry. We'll talk about the comments. We'll talk about everything here on the 2-hour night edition of Birds 365 today. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. Hit that like button, comment down below. All super chats go right to the top. So we appreciate all of you guys. John, anything on the field today that stuck out major?
Ball barely touches the ground. No big plays. Yeah, I mean, biggest play I saw was there's a couple of them. Dallas Goedert about a 20-yard catch down the field in layered coverage, which it's interesting because they were on the middle field today, which is difficult to see. That's the toughest field for us to see pretty consistently. So I went up to the top of the makeshift bleachers at the NovaCare complex to try to get that sort of bird's eye view. Looked to me like Jeremiah Trotter didn't track the ball well. And if he had, it could have been an interception. And Dallas ended up coming down with it. Other people saw it differently and said it was great coverage and he just missed it by the tip of his fingernail. So practice, it's everybody's got different angles. Everybody sees things a little bit differently. But that was one of the biggest plays, about 15, 20-yard gain. And then there was a pass over the middle to Danny Gray. She went for about 15, 20 yards. That was pretty nice. And that was Kyle McCord. Or it could have been Tanner. I have to double check my notes. But either way, those were the two biggest plays offensively. Defensively, the biggest play was probably a pass breakup by Zach Bond. Nice pass breakup over the middle. I counted 2 incompletions for Jalen Hurts. One was a drop by Will Shipley, but it was a little bit of a low throw. Would have been a tough catch. Probably should have caught it, though. And the other was that pass breakup by Zach Bond. So most of it was completions, but most of it was underneath and very sharp, I would say, offensively. Which I talked to Dallas about afterwards. They've just been playing for so long together. They're very sharp. And most of my focus has been on the defensive side of the ball, to be honest, because there's literally no competition on offense. Even Tyler Steen, all that, there's no he's the starter. There's no competition. 11 for 11. So it's about, getting the backups. And Terrace Marshall continues to be impressive. One of the things I took from today, Grant Calcaterra, anybody thinking he's getting pushed, he's not getting pushed to be the backup tight end. A.J. Dillon's got more play than I thought he would with the second team, which has been a little bit interesting. Saquon's touched it a lot over the first 2 days, which surprises me. And he's been very effective. That doesn't surprise me. but everything's like just solid on offense. And defense, there's all these moving parts. I mean, today at safety, Cooper DeJean got reps again in the base defense. Sidney Brown, obviously Drew Makuba, Tristan McCullum, and Andre Sam all got first-team reps today with Reed next to Reed Blankenship at some points. Now, very few for Tristan and Andre Sam, but I mean, it's like a rotating, constantly at safety. In corner as well, doesn't surprise. Ringo started yesterday, got the first rep. Today it was Jackson. They did that in the OTAs. They'll probably go back to Ringo on Saturday. Or they might not. They're having a walkthrough tomorrow, so that might be Ringo's day. Saturday might be Jackson's day. We'll have to see. Because we're not going to be at the walkthrough. That's not open to reporters. So that might factor into it. Same thing at safety. Sydney got the first rep on the first day, and today it was Makuba in the nickel. But again, those Spurs reps, I said it all the time last year with Devin White, most notably with Nakobe Dean. A lot of guys turn off, man. Oh, they got the first rep. They got the volume is more important of first team reps. And Sydney's still gotten more than Drew Makuba to this point, and Keely's still gotten more than Adoree Jackson. But it's very early.
Yep, it is early. We'll talk about all those things. We'll see how it all develops. Something I want to do on all these night shows that we do is just kind of, even if there's not much there, I do want to give an update to all the great people on all of the position battles. So certain positions, there's no battle. Some there is battles that we talked about all summer. So we're going to highlight them. John, the first one you already referenced, and you referenced a bunch of them. But Tyler Steen, is that thing already over? Is there never even a thought that thing could change? Is that what it appears to you? Tell us a little bit about that right guard spot.
Yeah, I'm calling that. It's over, barring injury, of course. But that's always baked in. Yeah, that it's not a competition. Tyler Steen's your starting right guard. Now, I've said before, and I thought that really since the spring, but even more so now, I still think there's a chance that it could be an Isaac Seumalo situation when they were trying to make Isaac the starter for the first time, and he wasn't ready. And he started the season, played poorly in the first month or so, and then they benched him. I could still see that happening. But as far as week one, no, he's barring injury again, which can change everything. He's going to be the starting right guard.
We'll see what ends up happening there. It's probably going to be Tyler Steen. John, you feel confident in that or what? Because I'm not the most confident in Tyler Steen. I can't lie to you.
No, I don't, but okay, that's your worst player on offense, and it is. And the four other guys are Pro Bowl level or all pro level. Okay, you can make do. Will it be as good as Mekhi Becton last year? Probably not, but I think, everybody else has got more holes than that. So ultimately, I don't think it's going to affect the Eagles that much. But no, I'm not sold on him being in that level of what he's playing with. And that's some pretty damn good players. So, but that's a high bar to live up to say the least. So no, I'm not sold on him, but if that's your biggest problem, and it is on offense, you don't have many problems.
No, yeah, but the problem still, the word problem, I'll use it against you, still exists in there. And my concern with it has more to do with the style of offense that this team has taken on, John. And last year you had Mekhi Becton, who his specialty was in the run game. I mean, how many times did I watch Saquon last year, John, run behind a gaping hole? that Mekhi Becton just easily moved somebody out of the way for Saquon to do. Is that might not come this year? And does that alter the way you play offense a little bit because they have kind of locked in on a run-first offense? Maybe there's some impact there that we're not, accounting for because of the new style of offense they're playing.
Well, you probably got to go about it a little bit differently, and maybe it's the fullback, maybe it's Van Sumeren, maybe it's Johnny Wilson in 13 personnel or something like that. But so I think it'll look a little bit different, but I don't think the results are going to be that dramatically tampered down. I think more of the Saquon stuff is about, as I've said pretty consistently, the personality of the game. For him to touch it as much as he did last year, a lot of things have to go right. You got to be closing out games. You got to be ahead late. You got to be ahead early so you can play that way. And you got to play from the lead a lot to run the football that much. And last year, the Eagles did. This year, tough schedule on paper. People are going to tweak. Opposition are going to tweak. But I've said, I don't think as many people are going to tweak their thought process as many do. I'm kind of on the other spectrum because I still think most teams say, all right, if you want to run the ball, by all means, please run the ball. Just because they think, and it proven out in most situations that it's more difficult to do. And I don't think the Eagles' success is going to change that mentality. And I brought it up like, there's so few teams that play like the Eagles. I've compared it to, triple option teams in college because I've talked to coaches about that. You can't really spend a lot of time on them because it's not going to be worth. You got to play other teams, and most of the other teams are going to play a different style. And it's really difficult to prepare for a left-handed team, is what they call it, so to speak, that plays a little bit differently than most teams. So I don't think that to me, I hear it every day, pretty much. The thought process that teams are going to play the Eagles like Kansas City. I'm not sure that's going to be the case.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Interesting thought process by you there, John. John, before we switch over to the defensive side, talk about all the competitions over there, I do want you to opine on Jalen Hurts. What have you seen from him? We got to give the update on QB1. Not a lot of incompletions. You've explained very clearly the last 2 days why there hasn't been many incompletions. But what are you seeing out there from Jalen Hurts so far through camp?
Yeah, very sharp, very comfortable, really dating back to the spring as well. Most comfortable I've ever seen him. Now they haven't stretched the field. They haven't pressed things down the field a lot. So, at some point that's got to come. I haven't done, it's interesting because previously in the Nick Sirianni regime, they've done a lot of red zone, but they haven't done any red zone work. So you see, like I said, there hasn't been, I do not believe there's been a touchdown pass over the first 2 days of camp. And so there's a give and take to it. But again, I know JJ Watt was on, and I'm having, I don't know, I hope I'm going through, but I'm having computer issues. But he put something up on Twitter because he saw, and again, I give my buddy Elliot Shore Parks credit for this because a lot of people around the NFL have followed in his footsteps and they're reporting training camp stats, which are ridiculous. And, so I'm glad JJ came out today. So I brought it up on my phone. So I want to read it. It's pretty long, but here's what JJ said. Training camp stats are insane and ridiculous. Used to think it was always just people joking, but now seeing them seriously reported. You have no idea what the purpose of the period is, what the goals are, what the context is, etc. It could be a strictly third and long blitz period where every play is skewed to the defense's advantage. Coaches could be asking the quarterback to focus specifically on one route concept. D-line may be focusing only on bull rushes one day or just speed rushes for one period. More importantly, practices for practicing. You're supposed to fail. You're supposed to try new things, which I'm not sure the Eagles are doing. See what works and what doesn't work, etc. If you only do what works, you'll never grow, adapt, change. The entire point of training camp is to build and grow towards the season so you perform your best when the real games start. So that's J.J. Watt. That's not John McMullen, but I've said that, but I think he has more gravitas than me. That's why I bring it up. Yeah, even us there as reporters, we don't know what they're trying to accomplish in each period. Now, a bunch of times I ask them if something happens, and you find out that way. And as Vic says, Vic tells the truth. But there are times when they're working on specific things. Like they closed today, their last team drill was a heavy run period. They weren't trying to throw it. But again, they've thrown no touchdowns. Now, on Saturday, when we get out there, they might do all red zone, and there might be 6 touchdowns because they're in the red zone. So, but Jalen has looked very sharp and very comfortable. And I think that's a positive thing.
Yep. Good stuff, John. One more thing on the offensive side of the ball. You brought up Grant Calcaterra and said he's not getting pushed. What did you mean by that? So he's going to be tight end too. Is it looking bleak for Harrison, Bryant, and company?
Well, it depends if the Eagles want to keep 3. Obviously, again, there's roster tricks last year. They're going to keep, they might keep 2 because they might need other roster spots for other positions. They got a lot of offensive linemen that they're going to want to keep. And you can elevate guys for 3 weeks, and they can do it that way. They can wink because they're bested veterans, Harrison Bryant and Kylan Granson, so they can say, look, we're going to put you on the practice squad to start. They don't have to go through waivers, so you can make those backroom deals. We're going to put you on the practice squad to start and elevate you when your practice squad exemptions are done. And there tends to be an injury, sprained ankle, something where you could put somebody on injured reserve and then they bring him up that way. It's what they did with Nick Gates last year. They'll certainly do it with some veterans. But yeah, the tight ends are clearly going to be Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra again. And then if they keep a tight end 3, that's what everybody's competing for. And of course, they'll keep probably 2 on the practice squad as well. So a lot of the guys here will be here. But the tight ends that are going to play, obviously Dallas is obvious, but Grant Calcaterra is not. If anybody thought anybody was going to push him, that's not happening.
We'll see what ends up happening. John, Jahan Dotson had a couple catches today over the middle. At least that's what I read from the reporters. How does he look out there at camp? I think there's some optimism around him coming into year 2, John. And I think the thing that makes the most sense is he did get here at the end of camp last year. So there really wasn't a lot of time for him and Jalen Hurts to get acclimated to one another because you were right into the season. And once the games are started, you're not really working on new things. You're optimizing what you are to win games in the moment. How's Jahan Dotson look?
Yeah, I mean, I've always said Jahan is the best wide receiver 3 in the Nick Sirianni era. So, I don't know why people were down on him other than he doesn't catch a lot of balls, but he doesn't catch a lot of balls because he's on a lower passing volume standpoint team. And he's the 3rd receiver behind 2 really good receivers. And I think he showed in the playoffs when the ball comes his way, he's going to make the play, which was the issue with Quez Watkins. And Nick Sirianni clearly stated numerous times all right, guys aren't going to get a lot of targets, but when the ball comes their way, they got to make the play. that's what Jahan Dotson's been able to do. I expect him to continue to do that. I don't know if he's ever going to be regarded as good because he's not going to catch a high volume of passes, but he's a good player. I mean, and there are very few third cornerbacks in the NFL that are going to be able to match up well with Jahan Dotson. Very few. So it's just another advantage the Eagles have. Only have it for one more year. And, who knows what happens with him last year, but you would think he'd want to go somewhere. It's going to be tough for him to convince other teams that he could be that, one or two guy, which was expected of him when he was drafted, where he was drafted. But so from that standpoint, yeah, he hasn't lived up to being the 16th overall pick, but the Eagles didn't take him at 16 overall. So they just have a damn good role player. And he's been that. He's already been that. And he is going to be better this year because, to what you said, he's had a full off season for the first time. It took him a while to earn Jalen's trust, and now he has it. So it's going to be better. But I don't think it's going to be a big volume number or things like that some people want.
Yeah, no, it's just not the offense they play, so I wouldn't expect that either. John, last thing here on the offensive side is running back. You mentioned A.J. Dillon getting some touches back there. Will Shipley had the drop, which was kind of a bad throw, but I digress on that. How's that running back room, though, look, John? I will say, even if A.J. Dillon looks good at camp, boy, I keep thinking about those stingers, Johnny Mack. He's a physical running back, and I can't help but have those pop in my mind. But how does he look right now at camp?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at how many reps he's got with the second team. Maybe they want to see if he's physical. Not a lot of explosion, but this is my first time watching him. I mean, he's so big. Speed was never a part of his game. When he was playing at a high level with Green Bay, he's just a big physical back, north-south runner. And I think that part of it projects well with the Eagles offensive line. But is the guy showing up have less juice than he had in Green Bay? I don't know. Or if that's just what he is, he's not going to be the guy who's going to break a 50-yard run, but he's going to carry people for, 8-10 yards gains if he's healthy. That's what he did in Green Bay. That's very nice to have if that's the guy. But to your point, and I brought that up a couple times. Yeah, I don't. I mean, his whole game is built on physicality, and you got a bad neck, and you're lowering the helmet, so to speak, and taking people on.
I think, John, if I remember it correctly, A.J. Dillon suffered a stinger at the end of a season. I think at the end of 23 season in November or December. I think it was December. And then he was out for the rest of the year. Then he went back to training camp in 24 last season, and he got another stinger in training camp and missed the entirety of the year last year. Is that what it was? So, he hasn't really played a lot of football, John, since he got that first stinger.
Well, he said he was healthy last year. So that's one of those things where you put him, he's probably healthy by week 8 or week 9, somewhere in the middle of the season. And, he just wasn't in their plans and he didn't play. So he could have played, at least according to him. But they had already moved on from that standpoint. So, that's one of those things where none among us are doctors. But he claims that he was a full go for a long time. And basically, because he got placed on injured reserve in August, his season was over. So it's one of those things where he claims he could have played, but he was already ruled out. So it's one of those things. And hopefully he's healthy and hopefully it's not an issue. And maybe he can offer something But I also, I think, and I've said this pretty consistently, I think he's a good changeup for Saquon. Big physical back. Now Saquon's phenomenal athlete on top of it, but he's a big back. Not as big as AJ, but he's still, compared to most backs, he's big. And that's what they had with Kenny Gainwell. You have the little curveball, you have the more undersized, the jitterbug guy, the pass receiving back. And I think that's a better changeup in game. But, if Saquon has a sprained ankle and can't play 1 week or 2 weeks, and you need somebody to carry the football 20 plus times, well, that's probably AJ. If he's healthy, he's better equipped to do that. So
Right.
I've kind of looked at it as more of a layered backup situation where if Saquon's ready to go, if Saquon's a full bore, then you probably want Will as the backup, as a changeup guy. And if he's not playing, you probably want AJ Dillon to be the volume guy. So that's why, and I don't know if that's the way. I'll talk to Kevin Patullo on Saturday for the first time. And Kevin's a good dude, and he's not going to be quite as honest as Vic. You are, but I'm probably going to ask him that question and see if he bites. But we'll see as it continues. Now, Will's still getting more second team reps, but I am surprised by how many AJ's gotten.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there, John. Let's move over to the offensive side. Before we do it, I'm going to read a couple of super chats. Vonnie outside. What's up, Vonnie? Appreciate it. He says, I started watching at the same time last year, or I guess this time last year. Love you guys. Thank you, brother. That's pretty cool. Happy 1 year of being here on JAKIB with Johnny Mac, myself, and Big Cells. Just need to know who's this year's Devin White and what kind of adversity are they going to make up? He's listening closely, John.
I do not think there is a Devin. Like, what do you mean by this year's Devin White? I mean,
somebody who's acting like they're going to start now and who will not be a part of the team at all.
Yeah, I don't think that player is on this team. That's what I was, because fans saw it a little bit differently with Devin White. Like, they all thought he was going to start. A lot of them, at least. And part of that is because they were told it by a bunch of reporters. So, but you weren't told it by me. So I don't think that player exists on this team. I think there's favorites, but if Kaylee Ringo doesn't start, it's not going to be a shock. If Drew Makuba doesn't start, it's not going to be a shock to people who shouldn't be. So those are legitimate competitions. And it could go either way at those particular positions. If Jihad Campbell makes it back and plays enough to start week 1, I don't think it's going to shock people that Jeremiah Trotter's not starting. So I don't think that player exists on this team. Yeah.
Some are speculating it could be Steen.
No.
I don't think Steen would ever get cut, but I do think there is a chance that Pryor or somebody would get that job.
Well, again, I think there's a chance, but I think that'll happen later.
Yeah. John, you went as far as to call the race. I'm calling the race.
Barring injury, I'm calling the race. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good there. Let's get to another super chat. Riot checks in. What's up, Riot? Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. He says, John. John's going to like this one. John, do you think we're spoiled as a fan base right now? The idea of a repeat is the goal, and I think we should have high expectations. But Brady went 10 years without a Super Bowl. Do you think people forget how hard it is to win a ring?
Well, I try to tell them it's hard, but yeah, there's a certain group. I don't think the whole fan, but there's a certain part of the fan base that's spoiled. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Because they won a lot. So now they expect to win. And it's not easy. I mean, you don't have to go back very far. They were 10-1 and collapsed. It is hard to win in this league. They made it look easy last year after the bye week, but it's not easy. And today was Landon's day, Landon Dickerson, to explain they're not going to repeat. The 2024 Eagles are done.
What did he have to say, John? I spent much of my day at a dealership dealing with that.
Same thing as Jordan said. Same thing. I mean, they're best friends. Same thing Nick has said. 2024 Eagles are done. They're not coming back. That's every NFL team. It is a 1-year window, and then you have 30% turnover. So a lot of the guys are back. That means 70% are back, but that group is never going to be together again. So they're not looking to repeat. They're looking to win again. And it's not easy to win again. But some teams have done it. One just did it in Kansas City. New England has done it in the past. Vic was asked a question about, is it hard to reboot, and do you have to change things because of the long season? And he brought up how many Super Bowls New England went to and how many Super Bowls Kansas City has gone to. So he mentioned, but to be the last team standing is very difficult to do again and again and again. And I think, Tom Brady, anytime you have that kind of outlier, it breaks people a little bit. Well, Tom Brady did it. Why can't we do it? It's not easy. But, I mean, the Eagles are one of the 4 or 5 teams that have a legitimate chance to win. I would say that. So they're in a good position to make a run again. But a lot of things have to fall in a positive direction, starting with health and everything else from there. But, I mean, certain guys get injured. Bang, your season's over. I mean, Jalen Hurts gets injured.
Which by the way, is true for every team. I mean,
No, yeah, it's true of every team. It's true of every team, and that's the point. Last year, they were relatively healthy.
I don't know, though. I mean, Ryan, the question that Ryan asked, which you answered well, but taking what you said and viewing you, John, as the objective source on the show, who doesn't give a shit whether the Eagles win, lose, or draw, who doesn't give a shit whether they're a good team or a bad team, who just covers the football team. Ryan says, do you think we're spoiled as a fan base? Well, Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah,
a lot.
But John, you just said it. We're one of the 5 that has a chance. So if a fan thinks that we're going to be the 1-5 to jump in and win,
well, that's not what I mean by that's not what I mean by spoiled. Like, and you'll see it this year because the Eagles are not going to go 17-0. When they lose a game, people are going to lose their minds because they expect to win every single time, and that's not realistic. But this team has had such success that's the expectation. And by the way, raised expectations are not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's one of the things that makes the Eagles who they are. They expect to win too. But, they realize that sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. And, again, I talk about they're trying to increase their margin of error. That's their whole philosophy. And I think it's the proper philosophy to have, but that doesn't mean that everything's going to go perfect every single time out there. And that could be in the Super Bowl. You could have a bad game in the Super Bowl. You could have a bad game in the NFC Championship game. That's another part of it. The NFL, unlike baseball, unlike basketball, it's not best of 7. You got a shitty day and you're done.
Part of what makes it so hard, John. Part of what makes it so hard, why the best team doesn't always win in football. Right. Thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you. Big $20 bomb by you, banger by you. Thanks, man. Jason, A-Team, checking in. What's up, A-Team? Thanks for the love you've given us today, my man. You were in here this morning. You were in here this afternoon, and here you are this evening. Thank you, Jason. He says, what do we think of Tyler Steen so far? And also everyone else been having about McKee, maybe hyping him up to trade him? It's a good question. John, your thoughts on this? You got 2 different topics here: Steen and McKee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Eagles are hyping him up to trade him. They want him to be the backup quarterback, and I think it's way too early for Kyle McCord. So they would not be comfortable trading Tanner McKee right now. So I think that's more of an outside the building thing. I wouldn't be concerned at all about the Eagles trying to hype him up to trade him. Now next year, if Kyle McCord does a lot of positive things behind the scenes and they become more comfortable, then they could start that process, but not this year. That's not the Eagles hyping him up. They need him to be the backup quarterback.
Yeah, they value the backup. That's why I'm like, I don't think they value it more than they would get. What would they get for McKee, if you thought? Seriously.
Well, I mean, yeah, right now he hasn't played. Now
that's what I mean. I had someone say day 2 pick. I'm like, I don't think they would get that for him, but I don't know. It's weird about quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, but it usually happens when somebody gets to play and plays very well for a short period of time, and then people overreact around the league because they're so quarterback desperate. If anything, I think the Week 18 game kind of hurt them last year against the Giants because it was very simplistic, the game, and part of it was just the Eagles were, they don't want to show anything. Why would they? Why, and it was the same plays over and over again. And he played very well early, and then they kind of figured it out. It slowed down. So, yeah, but if Jalen sprains his ankle in, week 10 this year, and he plays 2 games and he plays well, then I think you see that. Then I think you see teams, giving up a day 2 pick. Or at least potentially, but you haven't hit that process yet. And playing well in the preseason game is not gonna force. There's a lot of dumb teams, but it usually comes with. Think about AJ Bealey back in the day. He played well, and people overreacted to it. So that has to happen in the regular season. And 4 throws against a Dallas team that's dead in the water is it's not what I'm talking about. I mean a full game of playing good, effective football, and really multiple games. And then you might see some of that talk. But that's for down the road. They want him to be the backup.
Right.
And he's going to be the backup this year.
Good stuff. Johnny Mac, good stuff. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll dive into the defense. We were a little longer on the offense than I thought we would be. That's okay. We're going to dive into both every single day here on Birds 365. So we spoke about Vic and his comments. When we come back, we'll talk Jordan Davis. We'll talk Keely Ringo. We will talk some of the other guys on the defensive side of the ball. Adoree Jackson making his push. And as always, Vic gives you a lot to talk about and a lot to think about when you hear Vic speak. So we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Birds 365.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365, a nightcap edition here on the show as we recap day number 2 of the Philadelphia Eagles on the field at training camp. Technically day 3 because they reported on Tuesday, but day 2 of practice today, recapping it here on Birds 365. We dove into the offense, John. We talked about all the things over there, and I want to get into the defense a lot here in this upcoming hour and for the next 30-plus minutes and change, and we get to do it with another guy who was down at practice today, and that's the great Jeff Kerr, who joins us right here on Birds 365. Jeff, I'm not used to seeing you on a Thursday night. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Football's back, Zander. You know, I wasn't excited Monday. I'm a little more excited today.
Good. I'm happy to hear it, Jeff. I'm fired up, brother.
I'm ready to go.
And by the way, do you have a hard out still? I know you were going to the movies, so
I do have a hard out. I gotta go see.
You got a hard out.
I gotta go see Galactus face the Fantastic Four tonight.
Oh gosh, you movie
right.
heads.
Fantastic Four.
All right, lend your heart out so I know.
What's that?
Lend your heart out so I know.
When's my heart out? We can go 7:20. We got plenty of time.
We'll get you out of here 7:15-ish, 7:20. Jeff, real quick, starting the defense, man. What'd you see there? We didn't talk to you yesterday, so I'll give you a chance to opine on both days. What have you seen? What has stuck out to you from your early thoughts and early viewing of training camp here to start the 25 season?
Well, day 1, I was impressed with Jihad Campbell. I mean, just the fact he was on the field. I mean, John and I mean, how many times did we tell you, Xander, that we just didn't expect this guy to be out here until August, and we were thinking mid-August, and so seeing him on day 1 was a real treat because we just haven't seen anything out of the guy outside of Vic Fangio kind of having him off to the side and doing stuff with him. But I'll tell you what, maybe John can agree with me on this. He looks the part.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's definitely very athletic, rangy. He's got everything you need to be a big-time, player on the defensive side of the football. I think he's a unique player as well. I think he's going to be a different style of player than Eagles fans are used to, because I do think he's going to be a bit of a hybrid ultimately when Vic gets him up to speed and ready to go. But yeah, I was happy to see him. And Vic had a great line today about the training staff understating so they can overachieve. It's interesting, though. He was asked about, is there any chance that the trainers are underestimating when Nakobe Dean can come back? Because he had said that nice little quip about the training staff. And he said, I don't think so. So that part is holding up to be true, because again, a very serious injury that happened in January, January. So
Yeah, John, that was the question I felt the least amount of confidence for Vic. You could tell that one gave him some pause.
Yeah. It was very quick, 4 words. I don't think so. So it's going to be a while. And for Jihad, it's positive, and he's going to be able to play. It's going to be interesting. Now to me, it comes down to, can Jeremiah Trotter Jr. hold off Jihad Campbell to be the week 1 starter? And that's something to keep an eye on. Because I think Trotter's looked pretty good. I do want to ask you about that play. Everybody's made a big thing about that play. Now, I think you were on the field. I was up in the bleachers. To me, it looked like he should have made the play. It was a layered pass down the middle. Really, from my view, it was thrown into some pretty significant coverage. And I was like, oh, that's probably not going to work. And all of a sudden, Dallas Goedert comes up with it. But other people I saw say it was a great layered throw. Where are you on that throw? That's the thing about, it's not TV. We can't rewind it. We can't look at it 15 times. Where are you on that throw where Dallas Goedert made the catch? And Trotter was right there. But to me, it looked like he didn't track the football well.
Yeah, I thought Trotter was in position to make the play, and I actually thought Trotter should have made the play, but I wanted to give Jalen credit for just basically putting that throw right to Goddard and Goddard described it today. He was asked about it, and he said, look, when I got the route, he saw Jalen throw it, and he said it looked like it was coming to him, but then he said he saw 3 defenders. They just kind of got in the way there, and one of them was Trotter, but Trotter looked like the one he could have got his hand on the football at the very least. But, I mean, give credit to Trotter for having the instincts to be in that position, but this is what we were concerned about him. Can he actually make the play when he gets in the position? And I want to give Jalen credit for the throw, but this is what I worry about with Trotter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coverage is going to be the biggest issue, I think, with Trotter as a linebacker, because I think he's very instinctive in the run game. And I think he's going to be fine there in run support. But the coverage part of it, Jihad's just a much better athlete. You saw that on what day are we? Wednesday, you saw it where, he was running with, it was Danny Gray, who's a 4.33 guy. And Tanner McKee threw it. It was a little bit behind him, but Jihad was in a position to make the play and had a pass breakup. Now today it was Jahan Dotson, same play. Jahan's fast too. Not quite as fast as Danny, but 4.4 guy. And Jahan's a better receiver, and Jahan dusted him. It wasn't it wasn't
close.
It wasn't a competition. Yeah, it wasn't close, but also a better throw as well. So, but if you're comparing Jihad Campbell to Jeremiah Trotter Jr., yeah, he's much more athletic to be in coverage, I would say. That's going to be a big advantage for him versus Trotter. So that should turn into a competition maybe that we didn't expect to see, because we didn't think Jihad would be healthy.
Yeah, I wrote on I did a depth chart, 53-man roster projection for today for CBS, and I put the asterisks with Dean, but and again, we still don't know how long he's going to be on the PUP list. It could be at the start of the year. They could create a roster spot there, but when I was looking down at position by position competitions, I agree with you, John. This is a competition we didn't think we were going to be seeing. We thought maybe Smile Monda could get into the picture if
Right.
Campbell wasn't ready yet. But now that he's here, this is probably the competition I'm looking forward to the most in camp. And keep in mind, we got a good cornerback and safety competition on defense.
Yeah, no, that's true, Jeff. And that's where I want to go next. Good conversation on Jihad Campbell. Well, Jeff, a lot of people are turning on their their Phillies mode. Like you lose a game for the Phillies and it's like the team sucks. Well, now Keely Ringo's got a bad day and it's like, Keely Ringo sucks. We need a corner. What have you seen from Keely Ringo?
I'll apologize to Eagles fans on this. You can have an Eagles attitude when you're watching the Eagles.
Yes, no doubt. What have you seen from Ringo so far, Jeff?
It looked better on day 2 than he did day 1. Day 1, A.J. Brown took him to school on that go route that Jalen Hurts threw to him. And look, A.J. Brown's a really good quarterback. He's going to do that to a lot of people, and that's what I wrote in my takeaways from that day. But I wasn't – Terrence Marshall kind of made a fool out of him a couple times too. And, yeah, I know Terrence Marshall's go ahead, John.
Terrence Marshall's, yeah, he's a good receiver.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened in Carolina. Maybe Carolina just is terrible.
It's
Well,
Carolina.
they're a bad organization.
It's Carolina. Somebody was like, "You didn't work in Carolina." I'm like, and he might be good. I
He
don't
was
know.
a second-round draft pick. It wasn't like he was
Oh, yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big time player at LSU. He's just obviously this best wide receiver room in the country at the time. Yeah, but my issue with Terrace is like, how do you fit him on the roster? I don't know how you fit him on the roster because he's not going to play. He's not going to play above AJ or Devontae or Jahan. So, again, if you're down on the depth chart as a receiver, you got to play special teams. He doesn't play special teams. So I don't know how you fit him on the roster is my problem with Terrace Marshall. But, he's easily their 4th best receiver. If that is the only thing you're worried about, easily their 4th best receiver. By far, I would say. By a wide margin.
I honestly put, when I did this roster projection, like Terrence Marshall, if you're just grading him 1 through 5, he's 4. And then who knows who 5's going to be. Like if you just want to pick 4 receivers, he's one of the 4. But then where do you go from there? And
yeah,
I know you guys talked offense earlier, but yeah, that 5th receiver battle is going to be something too between Nye Smith, Johnny Wilson, Danny Gray, Taylor Morin. He could make the Avery Williams could. That's going to be really interesting too.
Yeah, we'll see. And it's interesting.
I like the Taylor Morin drop. Yeah.
Well, he did.
I like Taylor Morin.
As you like to big time me today, McMullen, when I had to give out my little factoid that he led the nation in punt return average. He goes, "Yeah, I already knew that."
Well, you watch Birds 365. You should know that because I already mentioned that.
Well, I know
He's
you
got a lot of
mentioned it,
Britton Covey to him.
Yeah, well, I had to do some digging on Taylor.
Yeah.
On Taylor.
No, I was just giving you shit.
Yeah,
I'm a dick. I was told by Brooks Cabina of The Athletic. Yeah,
I was here for this one.
I was stirred. We're getting a delay, so I apologize. But yeah, Brooks, I told Brooks evidently, I don't remember this because Brooks is wearing pants. And by the way, Brooks is from Houston. Why the hell is he wearing long pants to training camp?
And he wears long pants every day for you.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I'm like, don't put too much credence in my shit talk.
Hey, Xander, remember when I called him Monday?
I said don't listen to me.
I said he's an asshole, but we all love him.
Yes, it's very true, Jeff. Jeff, I want to ask you about the safety. I just want to run through this defense while I got you up here, Jeff. I know you got to run soon, but what have you seen from safety? I think that's the one that's still pretty wide open, dude. I don't really know if Makuba is there. I can't really tell which way Vic is leaning. What have you seen through 2 days of camp?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. They had Andre Sam out with the first team today. Look, if I made an educated guess, I think they want Makuba to win it, but they're going to give Sidney Brown the first crack at it. But I don't think this is his job to lose. I think it's his job to win. Same with Andrew Makuba. I'm not counting out Tristan McCollum by any means, but I really do think the player they want to see start week 1 is Andrew Makuba.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who fits Vic's defense. No doubt about that. Now, I don't think either of them have shown up much in 2 days. Again, it's only 2 days, but and by the way, that's not they haven't shown up from a bad standpoint and they haven't shown up from a good standpoint. So I think they've just been solid. And that matters to Vic. I think that's positive. But there haven't been many plays on the defensive side of the ball. I brought this up a couple of times, Jeff. The ball doesn't hit the ground from the offensive perspective. I think Jalen had 2 incompletions today, but they're also not stretching the field. So it's all underneath stuff for the most part. Again, the layered throw to Dallas Goedert. There was a throw to Devontae Smith that might have been 15 yards or so.
It was a boring practice today in terms of action.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you used that word because and people think of being negative. It has been boring. It's like there's no big plays on offense. There's no big plays on defense. It's just I think they're practicing what they preach, and that's ball security. And the offense is hyper focused on not turning it over, and that makes it difficult for the defense to turn it over. Zach Bond had a nice pass breakup today. What is your biggest play in today's practice?
I mean, can we go with the Hurts ball to Goddard that Trotter?
Well, that's what I went with because it's the high profile guy. I think the biggest play was, and I don't even know who threw it. I think Kyle threw it. Was a nice pass over the middle to Danny Gray, which was about 20 yards.
That was toward the end of practice, right?
Yeah, that was the longest play of the day that I saw. Which it was about 20 yards.
Yeah, you're right. Like they've just been super conservative with, and like you said, John, it's all about ball security right now. Like I had to do takeaways from around the league before I came on here, and I'm watching some of Chiefs practice, some of Bengals practice for what they're able to show. And those
plays all over the place.
Yeah, there's big plays. Like the Chiefs are throwing deep bombs to Xavier Worthy. It's like in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know why the Eagles can't do this. But, and again, the Eagles are world champions. And it's hard to argue with what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, though. But I'm glad you said that because it's, not only me, but
John, I thought your explanation about the things to practice on was what I think is happening.
Yeah, well, that part of it too. I would say it took me about 10 years to learn how to watch an NFL practice. And I'm not exaggerating by any stretch.
I'm still learning how to watch an NFL practice.
And I think you have to understand what you don't know. And as JJ Watt tweeted out today, there's a lot of things we don't know. And there are things like Doug used to have practices. I talked with Doug. They would have landmark practices where they would just practice the screen game. That might have been the most boring practice I've ever seen in my life. They're just practicing their landmarks of where they're supposed to be to set up to throw a proper screen. And that's the offensive lineman, obviously the backs, and obviously the quarterback. So there's a lot of times they're working on different things, and they don't make us aware of it. They're not giving us. Occasionally, they'll do a situational practice where Nick Sirianni will be on the bullhorn and we can hear it. And they're working on, 4th and 5 from the, backed up or something of that nature. But you don't know what they're trying to accomplish. And JJ Watt, I don't know if you saw it today, Jeff. He's a fellow CBS guy now.
Yeah, you know what? I did see that tweet when I was scanning throughout the league today. I'm like, you know what? That's a good point he brought up. Like, it's that whole.
It's a great tweet. Everybody should read it.
It's
100%.
You don't know what you don't know what you don't know, but he further explained.
Yeah. And like I said, to training camp stats thing, all right, the Eagles haven't thrown an interception. They haven't thrown a touchdown. At some point, they're going to work on red zone, and they might throw 16, but they might throw 5-6 touchdowns in one period, because you're in the red zone.
That's why I get so upset with practice stats. Like, and again, I bowl, and I've told people this, I bowl. I'm not trying to shoot a 300 game when I'm practicing. I'm trying to work on my hand positioning, my turn of the ball, like my release. I'm sure these guys, professional athletes, are working on this too. I'm just a rec guy. Like,
now I called because I want to talk to you about that before you have to go. I called the right guard competition. Am I overstating that?
No, I wrote about that today too. I'm like, if it's a competition, I like to know who's competing.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenyon Green's out. Tyler Steen's the guy. I mean, was it Milano or Johnson yesterday that basically said Steen's name and then went like competition? I'm like, yeah, okay, come on.
Yeah. Well, and that, people will hold on to Kenyon Green because he's, a first round pick and
he was
he's
traded
the reclamation project and he's this year's Mekhi Becton. When he was healthy, he wasn't even working at right guard. He was working at left guard. So I'm not sure when he's healthy or deemed healthy, he's going to come in and all of a sudden it's going to be a competition. Now, where I do think there could be, and I go back to Isaac Seumalo, I said that, Isaac's first year as a starter, he wasn't ready, didn't play well. They benched him in season for Stephen Wisniewski. I could see that happening and say, all right, Tyler's not playing well. Let's play Matt Pryor. I could see that happening, but it's not going to be week one. It's not going to be week one.
Yeah. You know what, John? One of the battles, too, and probably will get into this because, again, this is a 2-hour show and we'll have weeks to dissect it. Who the heck are the backup offensive linemen ultimately going to be on?
It's a good question.
Well, they have so many of them. I'm not concerned. I mean,
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, you can't replace, first of all, guys like Lane and Jordan and Landon and Cam. You can't replace those guys, but so you're going to have a downtick. But I don't think anybody has more good backup offensive linemen than the Eagles. Like, is Kendall Lamb even going to make this team? I don't know.
I had him making it, but let me tell you, I'm about 30% sure he's going to make it.
Guys started like 44 NFL games. I mean, and played at an acceptable. Matt Pryor could play 4 different positions at an acceptable level.
And it was a valuable piece on this Super Bowl team just 7 years ago. I mean, it doesn't feel like it was 8 years ago, but good player for them.
Yeah. Drew Kendall, they finally have a legitimate backup center.
Who you and I think could start in this league.
Eventually, I don't mean as a rookie, but I think eventually he's going to be a starting center.
Yeah.
And Trevor Keegan. I mean, you could see Stoutland's trying to keep Trevor Keegan. Nobody even talks about Trevor Keegan.
Trevor Keegan's one of the nicest guys in the locker room, too. I love talking to him.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now he's playing center. Yeah, cross training. They have a lot of back. And then you have the draft picks. Some of the scouts, man, were raving about Miles Hinton. So they like him a lot.
Yeah, I don't think they can try to stash him on the practice squad. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe Cam Williams, but I had him making it right now.
Yeah, we'll stay. Wait, one other player, Jeff, because I know you're tight on time. There's one other player I want to talk to you guys both about. Jeff, while you're here, John, we'll kick it around a little later in the show as well. There's one guy that's given me a lot of optimism early in training camp, and it's from him. It's from the way he spoke. It's from the way he now has appeared to show up at camp, and that's Jordan Davis. What have you guys seen from Jordan Davis through the first 2 days? Anything there that makes you more confident, or am I overstating what we've seen so far? I thought the shape that he was in was a very good sign, and I thought today his comments were excellent as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I asked Jordan Davis, what did you change? And he pretty much said, I did this for my teammates. Like, it was pretty much him saying, I looked in the mirror without looking in the mirror, and why he was able to do the things, why he wanted to do this. And look, I think he can relate to every American that wants to lose weight, right? You look good, you feel good, but more importantly, this is his career. Like, he knows this is a big year for him. And
I heard a change of heart in his voice though, Jeff. Like he said, so the one thing he said that stood out was, I understand my role here is bigger than others. Like I felt like he realized I'm not supposed to be just a 25% of the snap run stuffer. They want me to be one of the guys on defense that leads this football team, both on the field and off the field. And I felt like for the first time, he really understood that and took it seriously. And it's proof, and proof is in the pudding in the way he looks.
And, it's funny too, because I remember I've talked with him about a couple of this stuff last year. And, I mentioned to him once, you know what I do? I don't drink soda. I don't drink, and he mentioned, hey, you don't drink juice. Like he called it the juices, called it the sugars and stuff. And that's what I said. I'm like, that's what I do. I don't, maybe, he's younger than me, but it's amazing how he's 25 years old and he's already realizing like how his body reacts. That to me is incredible. It took me till like I was 30 to know all this stuff. But again, when you have the best nutritionist in the world and you're getting probably the best advice in the world from a lot of people in that Eagles building. I'm just impressed that the Eagles sold him 330 to 339 or in the 330s, and he comes in like literally at the lowest he can come in, 330.
Yeah, he lost 26 pounds according to Jordan himself. So, it's interesting to me. It's because you're right. Everything from a health standpoint, as somebody who needs to lose weight, I could say that. Certainly everything he's doing is a positive. Unfortunately, he has a job that is often not healthy, to be honest, from a larger perspective. And to me, that's what it comes down to. Like, I don't know, because I'm not in Tampa any longer, but I don't think anybody's telling Vita Vea to lose weight.
I don't think so either.
So there's this little bit of disconnect. There's a little bit of disconnect that, all right, I think the Eagles want him to be more, but is this going to take away from what he's good at? Or is it going to make it? And it could work either way. I'm not saying it is, but
do you think, John, maybe
when you have just a strong run stopping?
Do you think like maybe because of his success rushing the passer, especially late last year, they said, okay, well, maybe if he sheds this off, we can untap this more consistently instead of him playing 13 snaps, 15 snaps, we could get more out of him.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Because if you look at Vic's question, Vic was asked about Morrow replacing Milton Williams in run defense, and basically went off onto a tangent where he said, yeah, I think Mo did a good job last year, blah, blah, blah. I think Milton's reps will be divided up between him, Jordan playing more, and we'll see what Ty Robinson can do. So he's expecting sort of a village to replace Milton Williams. And that means Jordan Davis has to do more as a pass rusher. So, but again, it's easier to stop the run in this league if you're 350 than it is you're still big dude. But again, I don't know what Vita Vea is, 347, 348. Nobody's asking Vita Vea to lose weight, but nobody's expecting him to be some kind of super pass rusher either, other than push the pocket. So it's an interesting nose tackles. Let's be honest, are not usually healthy by traditional standards.
Yeah, they need to be fat.
Yep.
I mean,
They're usually overweight.
Yeah, to not be politically correct. You got to be fat.
Yeah. You never told a Lodi Nada to lose weight, as what John said with Vita Vea. You're not. This isn't a thing in Tampa, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, does that highlight maybe what the Eagles want him to be? Maybe they don't want him to be the nose tackle. I mean, they did. Remember, guys, they did spend the 13th overall pick on him. Now, I know that's history, but you typically don't draft a run stuffer to be that high. Maybe this is proof that. Don't you think, like, if he was losing all this weight and they wanted him to be the run stuffer, they would have been like, yeah, hey, Jordan, I'm happy you're liking the Peloton and everything, but we need you to be a big boy. They didn't say that. They're happy that he's looking good. Or at least I think they are.
No, that's what I would think, right? And look, I know he likes the Peloton. I know he likes doing all this stuff, but look, I didn't mind him at 350. I thought that was fine, but I guess
I'm
when you
just
lose
shedding light on maybe they want him to be a different role. Like John brings up the point. Nobody's asking Vita Vea to lose weight because they know what they want Vita Vea to be. Maybe they want Jordan Davis to be the guy that could take over for Milton Williams. I mean, as Vic alluded to kind of in his response that John just read out.
Well, I think they do want him to do more. And that, is that the right avenue? Would they have a different conversation if Milton Williams was back? And they didn't need him to do like now. I think they need him to do more,
right?
Because they lost Milton. But is that going to affect what he does really well? I don't know. Maybe not.
We'll see. Let's let Jeff Kerr go. Jeff, thank you, man. Any final thought before you run? Enjoy the movie tonight, and thanks for checking in with us for the second time this week, Jeff. We appreciate it. Your final thought, brother.
You know what? It's like I'm just ready for the Pats at this point, Zander. Maybe when I come on Monday, we'll.
No, don't do that, Jeff. We waited for camp. Now you already want the next thing. Enjoy the process, Kerr.
I don't like shells and shorts.
I hear you.
I'm not a fan.
I got you.
I mean, it's hard to gauge anything. See, I can't get my words right tonight.
I got you. All right, Jeff. Enjoy the movie tonight, brother. We'll talk to you
All
next
right, wait. One more. If I'm on the delay, but one more. What'd you think about Vic shutting down the Jalen Hurts talk? Do you think it was too harsh?
You know what? Well, first off, it was all pro Coop. So we got that clarification.
Yeah, he wasn't concerned about that, but he called the love for Jalen Hurts reckless. You think that was overdoing it?
I think that was Vic trying to do some damage control before some quotes got a little out of hand.
Yeah,
I think
they didn't blow up like I thought they would.
Did they? I don't pay attention to the aggregate. I thought they would blow up.
But not crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't like Michael Penix saying today we're gonna have the number one offense in football. Let's just put it that way.
Nah, Michael Penix. Shut up, Michael Penix. Do something before you talk like that about the rest of the league. Jeff, great show tonight. Tell Barkley we love him. You don't need to yell at Barkley. No. I love hearing Barkley, and so do the rest of the
That wasn't Barkley. That was my sister's dog. I'm watching him. Too.
Oh, that's why you're like, shut the fuck up, because you don't have
that was Finley. Finley doesn't know any better.
Yeah, that's fine.
My sister's
hey, Finley can speak up as well. I'm pro dog.
I'm pretty sure they both have visitors too, because I've been hearing noises in the background. So
all right, Jeff. Thanks, dude. We'll catch you later. All right, brother.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Make sure you guys follow him at Jeff Kerr CBS. Read his work at cbssports.com. Thanks to him for checking in. Good camp takeaways from Jeff Kerr. John, I do kind of want to dive into the defense. Should we take a break? You are on a delay. Maybe I need to be the one that reboots, Johnny. I don't know
because you guys are not on a delay for me, but evidently I'm on a delay for everybody. So I think that makes it my fault, but I don't know why I'm on a delay. So
yeah, me and Jeff's audio were in sync. You were a little bit back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, to me, I could hear both of you guys perfectly, but it was
I
clear
can hear
you guys.
You're coming through clear. It's just a couple seconds late. That's all. But it's good. Yeah. It's good, John. We'll keep it right here. I want to reset, John, and just kind of dive back into the defensive side of the ball here. Let's continue with Jordan Davis first, John. It's an interesting conversation, but I did think, I don't know. I just sense a different player, John. Now, again, maybe I'm an Eagle fan and I'm just trying to see the good in it, but I felt like he's a different dude up at the podium. He showed up obviously looking the way he does. And, maybe you're right. It's not a good thing for a nose tackle, but I think it's a good thing overall to be in the type of shape that he's in. And then I listened to his presser today and I'm like, geez, something changed with Jordan. Maybe it was, maybe John, it was a conversation from Howie. Hey, I'll give you a fifth-year option. We're not extending you yet. You got to go and earn it. And this is exactly what I want you to do to earn it. And maybe there's a bag of money waiting for him on the other side because I don't think they're going to let Jordan go, but they did not they did not extend him on top of the fifth-year option, which I thought was interesting. I sense a little change in Jordan Davis. Am I overstating it?
Well, he was asked to lose weight. So yeah, I mean, he went down. They won him at 330 to 339. Everybody's got their little sort of weight clauses and things where the Eagles want them to be. And he went down to the lower end of that at 330. But they still won him at 330 and 339. So clearly the Eagles wanted him to lose some weight. They're trying to walk that tightrope that I just explained, make him a little bit better in the pass rush and still keep him as a high level run support player. And we'll see how it works out. But I think certainly they're concerned about the number of snaps. They want to get that up. But again, I think if you ask Vic that question, be like, he didn't play a lot last year because Milton played well and Morrow was a better pass rusher. Like, to Vic, I don't think it matters. Like, he's going to play the guys that he thinks are going to help him win. And if it went in a different direction and he was having trouble stopping the run, he would have played Jordan more, but he didn't. So he played him less. Like, I think there's two different parts of this. Like, I think that the organization wants him to lose weight because their belief is, if he loses weight, he'll be able to play more and he'll be more valuable, to your point. And I think Vic is no, he's valuable, but we were so good stopping the run with 4-man fronts, I didn't have to use a lot of 5-man fronts. So again, a lot of times,
wouldn't the unicorn and rainbow scenario there be, John, that you can play Jordan in the 4-man front, stop the run effectively, and get pass rush ability out of him?
Yeah, but maybe that happens this year because you need it to happen. You didn't need it to happen last year.
But if it could have happened last year, would they have used it more? Probably. It would have given Vic more leeway in the secondary and in the back end.
No, because I've said that. How in the world is he going to be a better pass rusher than Milton Williams?
Well, I think he has more athleticism and I don't know. Do you think he has more inherent talent than Milton Williams?
Well, I think he's a better athlete from a combine perspective, although Milton was a tremendous athlete from a combine perspective. Milton is undersized, very similar to Morrow, undersized. But that's how the Eagles draft. They draft. So anytime you have a 6'6", 350 guy who can move like Jordan Davis, you get enamored with them.
Right.
Because you have size with the athleticism. Generally, when you have athletic guys like Milton and Morrow, they're undersized. You don't see a lot.
Don't you think though that would give Jordan a higher upside potential? Then I mean, he's bigger and faster.
Well, I think that's why he got picked 13th overall. But
right.
I've said that, like, I heard, like, when Damo used to be on the show with us, he's like, well, maybe he could play outside. I'm like, yeah, I think people get enamored with the athleticism and the traits over what you see on film. He doesn't have the technique and the fundamentals and the skill as a pass rusher as those guys, which is more important on the pass rush. So no, I don't see the upside of him being a better pass rusher than Milton Williams, even Moro Ojomo. Now, could Milton Williams be a run support player like Jordan Davis? Not in a million years. Can Moro Ojomo be a better run support player than Jordan? Not in a million years. So, I mean, it works on both sides.
Would it be beneficial for the Eagles to have a marginally worse pass rusher, but a much improved run defense in the 4-man front, and you can consistently run the 4-man front more than you were able to last year? Would that be worth it? Would that be worth what you give up in having the pass rusher like a Milton or a Morrow on the field to keep Jordan?
Well, I think it was literally optimal last year. I don't think he can get better. Like he played.
Well, hypothetically speaking, isn't the dream scenario for a coordinator, even like Vic, to be able to stop the run and get home with a 4-man rush? Isn't that like
always.
optimum?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they used 5-man last year.
Like the Super Bowl, he didn't blitz. Like that's optimal.
Right.
Like he never wants to blitz if he doesn't have to. Ever.
So couldn't they ultimately get to that scenario if they have Jordan Davis that adds to his skill set and is able to do both?
Well, they were already at that scenario last year.
But they had Millen.
But again, yeah, you have to move on. You have to move on, and they're hoping to get back to that. So can they get back to me, last year was the optimal. That's where they want to be. That's literally where they want to be.
I think Jordan gives them a bigger upside and a more versatile role than they had with Millen. We might disagree on that, but I do.
Yeah, not as a pass rusher, not even close.
What about as an overall defense, though?
Well, again, that's the best Eagles defense in, but whatever Bud Carson was. So 35 years, maybe. That was the best Eagles defense in 35 years. Technically the best defense Vic has ever had, because he's never had a number 1 defense and he's never had a Super Bowl defense. So it's the best defense he ever had. Literally optimal. Literally, I mean, you can always, nothing's perfect, so you can always increase in that. But I mean, what are the odds of that happening? And from early in the season until later in the season, again, you can go back to the week 3 game in New Orleans when he was very concerned about stopping the run because New Orleans was running the football so effectively. And he had not built up the trust in his defense. He didn't know, he said he didn't know how good they were till about week 6, 7, somewhere in that range. Or he thought that he thought he had a chance to have a really good defense. And he was so concerned with stopping the run that he rolled out those 6-man fronts he invented basically in Chicago all those years ago that Bill Belichick copied to shut down the Rams team that was so explosive offensively. He rolled out those 6-man fronts and they did a good job and they did what they wanted to do. But ultimately, as the season went on, he became, Zach Bond took off, Nakobe Dean took off, and all of a sudden he figured out, I don't need 5-man fronts, never mind 6-man fronts. And they started playing a whole crap load of 4-man fronts. Now, it could be different when Jonathan Gannon first got here. I always tell the story in 2021. People didn't even know he was using Vic Fangio's scheme because he didn't have a nose tackle. And he didn't feel comfortable playing the 5-man front effectively. So they played more 4-man fronts than they wanted to because they couldn't play a 5-man. So it can work both ways.
Right.
And I've been talking about this for years before you even did the show with me with Jody. And the day they drafted Jordan Davis, I said, this is a very, this is a pick that's going to be hard to understand for people.
Yeah.
Because he's a unique player who, the Eagles envision could do more than what he does well. And I think that's, of course, it's the case. Anybody can improve. But when you start talking about what high-level pass rushers do from the interior, he's never going to be that guy. We now have a large enough sample size. He's never going to be that guy. But he's a hell of a run stuffer. And can he get better? That's why I've always pointed to Haloti Ngata in his prime and Vita Vea in his prime. That's what you want him to be.
Never, though?
Which is
never?
Yeah, well, I'm the real, it's like, can Vita Vea be Aaron Donald? No, of course not. No, those are the extremes.
Yeah, because that's pretty fucking extreme, but I hear you.
that's the extreme to make my point. It's like, why would you even ask him to do that? And said, it's like, would you ask Aaron Donald to be a nose tackle?
Well, but I do think Jordan, I mean, you point out it's the extremes. Don't you feel like Jordan's kind of right in the middle? You know, like he's not really Vita Vea, but they want him to play like Vita Vea. But now that he's smaller, maybe they don't want him to. Like, I don't think he's there. You know, I don't think he's that far.
I think that was the hope. That was my hope. I don't know what their hope is, but my hope was that he could be a Vita Vea or a Haloti Ngata type player where he was the great nose tackle run stuffer, but he also could push the pocket very effectively. Because, and most people go to Dexter Lawrence, as I said on the show this morning. That's who most people go to, because Dexter Lawrence is the one nose tackle in this league that can rush the passer. Can he turn into Dexter Lawrence? Like, to me, it's a waste of time to compare him to Milton Williams. They're two completely different players. They play two completely different positions. I'm not asking Milton Williams to play nose tackle, and I'm not asking Jordan Davis to do the things that Milton Williams does as a pass rusher, as a 3 technique player. It's a waste of time. So if you look at somebody like Dexter Lawrence, who is so far above everybody else at his position as a pass rusher, can he get to that level? That to me is a better comp. But I mean, that's what I throw out that stat because it blew my mind. You know, most pressures from a nose tackle, 97. Second was 20 something.
No, it is a crazy stat. One other question here, John. I disagree with some of you on it, but that's all right. Are we like making proclamations on the player too early? I mean, he's only 3 years in. Like, a lot of times it takes a while for defensive tackles to get to where they need to be at an optimal level to play well in the NFL. Like, Jordan's been here for 3 years. It's not 6. You know, he's going into year 4. That's not really that long. I think he's 25 years old. You know, like, are we jumping the gun on what he can be and perhaps putting a ceiling and a limit on that player too early?
I don't know. I find I'm the one who's been saying he's a very good player for a very long time. And I feel like everybody was like, "Oh, he's not very good." And now everybody's like, I'm putting a ceiling on him. I don't know what to say to that. I'm like, do I put a ceiling on him? Now, you never, as a coach or a scout, but I'm not a coach or a scout, but so, you know, they're never going to put ceilings on players. You can always get better. You can always improve. But, you know, that's just the nature of that industry. You have to be positive. You have to be optimistic. But, I mean, if you're asking me if he can play 3 technique at a high level in the NFL, or if he can play as an edge rusher at a high level in the NFL, you know, as an observer, as somebody who follows the game, who has to give their opinions on the game, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a Vic Fangio level of honest.
Yeah.
Hell no.
I'm not asking you to not be honest. That's part of why we love John McMullen, because you're honest. So I'm not asking you to be that. I'm just wondering if we've, you know, when I say we, I don't just mean you or me. I mean kind of like the collective, the way the players talked about. I wonder if, you know, maybe all of us have jumped the gun a little bit. Like, I don't know what he can be. I'm not ready to say he'll never be this player, but I also understand where you're coming from of, you know, I'm not going to ask Vita Vea to be Aaron Donald and vice versa. I just feel like Jordan Davis is that weird gray area in the middle. And because he's so athletically gifted, the eternal optimist in me, John, believes that he has a massive upside.
I would focus on Dexter then. You know, if you want the, you know, the top player at what, you know, if he keeps improving, and it would be Dexter. It's got to be a certain style of player. It can't be, you know, it can't be the undersized defensive tackle who's just quick as a hiccup. And, you know, I mean, that's just unrealistic. And by the way, the Eagles will never ask him to do that because they're not, you know, they're not that of the belief, I mean, again, and I'm using Hall of Famer, potential Hall of Famer as nose tackle versus under tackle. But there's a big difference between those two positions. But again, the labeling problem in the NFL, DT, they're all defensive tackles. So they're like, well, he's a defensive tackle. He's a defensive tackle. Aaron Donald doesn't play the same position as Vita Vea.
Yeah, not even close.
And Milton Williams can't play Jordan Davis's position, and Jordan Davis can't play Milton Williams' position.
I think Jordan
Jalen
Davis can be. I think Jordan Davis can be a better pass rusher than Milton Williams, John. You don't think that at all?
That's insane.
What?
You said a lot of insane things. I'm going to give it. That's insane. That guy.
Are you putting that at the top of my insane list? Are you kidding me?
That is your top of your insane list. That guy made $26 million on the open market. Now, the NFL can make a lot of mistakes. That guy made $26 million on the open market because of his ability as a pass rusher. I mean, yeah, that's at the top of your insane list. I mean, they're just not the same.
Well, I know that. I'm saying that Jordan Davis can be more, but can do what Milton did special.
The closest, actually, all you have to do is move over 2 steps. The closest guy that could probably do both, and I'm not going to say Chris Jones, those guys, Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
You know what? If you asked him to play nose tackle, he could hold down the fort. You don't want him to, but he can hold down the fort. And obviously, he's insane as a pass rusher, and he doesn't even know what he's doing yet.
The top of my insane list. I can't believe that. I can't believe I just hit the top.
That's the top of your insane list.
Oh, I'd like to see what else is on my insane list.
I mean, they're different players. They're different players. And every bit, if you ask Milton to, be a nose tackle, he would be a fish out of water. And if you asked Jordan to do Milton's job, he would be a fish out of water. But, for long periods, like I always bring up Javon Hargrave when 2021, Javon's a very good player, but he's not a good run defender. He's a great pass rusher. You had to play nose tackle in 2021. He wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's a bad player, but he had to play it. Anybody can line up anywhere, but can they do it effectively? And Javon was a great player here. I think people recognize that, but he's not a nose tackle. And sometimes you have to play out of position, and that's what the Eagles are preparing for. He's got to play more, and he's got to play more in 4-man fronts for them to replicate what they did last year.
Right.
Because one of the issues with Morrow is he is so undersized for that position. And if you start, Moro Ajomo with 400 whatever snaps versus Moro Ajomo with 600 or 700 or whatever, is he going to wear down because he's undersized? That was the question Vic was asked today. How comfortable are you with Morrow stepping in for Milton in run defense? Forget about pass rushing, in run defense. Because Milton's a pretty good run defender, but he's not, he can't play nose tackle. You can't take on 2 blockers and stone them.
I can't get over you talking about Milton Williams like he's going to the fucking Hall of Fame. The guy was a good player. He was not like an.
Well, and I find the exact opposite. I think the guy dominates for a year to get you the number 1 defense. His bunch of just another.
Yeah, man, he was a good player.
Another good player on a great defense. And he plays at that level for a year to get this fan base a Super Bowl, help this fan base win a Super. Obviously, he didn't do it himself, but help this defense get the #1 defense in the NFL. Vic has never had one. Super Bowl, dominating the Super Bowl to a ludicrous degree. 8, 9 possessions, whatever it is. They didn't get past the 50-yard line. If he wasn't the best player on the field, on the defense in the Super Bowl, he was the second best player. And he fucking leaves to sign a $26 million contract, and everybody shits on him out the door.
I'm not shitting on him by saying Jordan Davis can be that. I don't think that's shitting on Milton, John.
It's like, your whole thought process, it's not going to be a big deal to replace Milton Williams.
Well, that's not really true. My whole thought process was that I believe Jordan Davis has the talent within him to be able to replace Milton, successfully. I mean no ill will toward Milton Williams. I don't think he's as good of a pass rusher as you do.
A lot of shitting on a good player.
I'm not shitting on him, and I don't want you to create that narrative because I don't think I've ever shit on him, and I don't want to shit on him, but I also don't think he's irreplaceable.
Nobody's irreplaceable. I say Jalen Carter isn't irreplaceable. The question is who's replacing him.
Yeah, that's fair.
The question is and again, Ty Robinson could line up in Jalen Carter's position. He's replacing him. He's not replacing
All right, what's your thought to this rebuttal? Milton was a part of a committee on the defensive line last year and benefited more from that than his personal skill set.
I think that's upset. That's the kind of
that's
stuff.
Fine. I'm not saying that's. I'm just throwing it out
first of all,
to hear what you have to say.
He was obviously part of a committee. Everybody was part of the committee. They have a committee approach. They want to have 4 edge rushers and 4 interior players playing. That's their whole approach. Last year it got scaled down to 3 on the edge because of the injuries late in the season. But they want to play 4. They want to play 4 on the interior. Everybody's involved in a committee approach. So that part is true. I mean, that's a committee position.
Yeah.
They want Jalen Carter to play less this year than he was forced to play last year. I mean, he had the huge spike from 500 snaps to over 1,000. They don't want him to play 1,000 snaps. They want to knock him down as well, even at his age. A very young guy, so he should be able to handle it for at least a few more seasons. But in a perfect world, they even want to take him down a notch. So the position as a whole is a rotational position. And the way the Eagles, and that's been going on for years over multiple schemes, with Jim Schwartz, the Vic Fangio, and everybody in between. It's always been a rotational position here. There are certain guys. Max Crosby plays almost every play in Las Vegas as an edge rusher. Chris Jones plays a lot or has played a lot, and he's getting older. Jeffrey Simmons. There are certain guys, but nobody wanted Fletcher when he was here. Played too much. Jim Schwartz would say every year, we got to get Fletcher's snaps down. But then they're trying to win games, and they're not taking them off the field.
No, I get it. Yeah, makes sense. All right, John, let's move on a little bit here. Let's go into I want to go into Kelly Ringo, John. He is dominating the talking points still. Adoree Jackson making a push, got some first-team reps today. Now, maybe you said it's a back-and-forth thing. It's going to be like that all year. Where's your thought process on Ringo? And do you think it's slow? His grasp on CB2 is slowly weakening. What do you think, John?
No, come on. We're 2 days of practice. Why is everybody panicking?
I'm not panicking, but I think what you said last night was so spot on. Adoree knows how to play. So, Ringo could have all the upside, the athleticism, the strength, the speed, the length, everything you need. If Vic gets the week 1 and thinks he's got a better chance to win with Jackson, Jackson's going in. And Vic doesn't give a shit.
I agree with that. I agree with that part of it, but it ain't going to happen 2 days in.
Well, I know that. I'm trying to.
He's going to get plenty of opportunities. If he plays every day like he played on Wednesday, he's not going to win the job, and Adoree's going to play. He played today and he was better. That's Nolan Smith was talking to us today, and he just dropped it out of nowhere. The old cliche of getting 1% better that everybody uses each and every day. And Nolan Smith just dropped in there. I got 1% worse yesterday because he didn't think he had a good day. And he was, disappointed in himself. And he said today, bounced back and got 1% better. I would say the same thing about Kaylee Ringo. Yesterday, he got 1% worse. Today, he got 1% better. So, I mean, there's going to be ups and downs with young players. We just talking about Jordan and Milton and them developing late, not late, but them getting better incrementally. Quinion and Cooper kind of broke people a little bit last year, playing so well so early. The more common progression is, develop behind the scenes, get your opportunity, and then play well. That's the more common trajectory for most players. And yeah, you certainly can't overreact to one practice. So it's going to be a competition. It's going to be a legit competition, not like right guard. And early on, I even bet on Adoree'. I said, Adoree' will probably start. And then I shifted more towards Ringo and probably overreacted to a good minicamp practice. He had a great, if you go back to that minicamp, that one day of minicamp, everybody was raving about Ringo. It was the best practice he ever had. And then he's got one day of training camp and everybody's back shitting him. It's kind of amazing if you think about it from a human nature standpoint. But you're going to have up days. You're going to have down days. And remember who's going against every day. So what also Nolan said today, he's like, I'm going against Lincoln every day. You're going to have some shitty days. You're going against AJ, you're going to have some shitty days.
Yeah, I get that. Believe me, I'm not trying to beat up on him for that. I think any cornerback in football, any of them, take the highest paid dude who just got paid, freaking Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley, they would struggle in camp in Philly. You're just not covering AJ Brown every play. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're just not covering them every play. That's how I feel about it. So I'm not really upset about that or concerned about that. But I don't know. I'm just trying to get a gauge in the position. If we started camp here, John, all right, has Adoree' creeped ahead? Has Ringo creeped ahead? Has Ringo fallen back? I mean, where are we? Are we still 50-50? Are you Ringo in the lead? Like, where are we?
Well, it was never 50-50. Ringo's in the lead.
So Ringo started what, 60-40?
Well, they split days. So, and they split days in spring. Again, the first rep, which people pay way too much attention to, it was Ringo on Wednesday. It was Jackson today. And it'll probably continue that way for at least a week or so. But Ringo's gotten more first team reps. So I think he's slightly ahead, just like if you went at safety, same thing. It was Sydney on Wednesday. It was Makuba today. But Sydney's gotten more. So from that standpoint, they're in the lead. Now, if you're taking the educated guess of who they want to start, that's Ringo and Makuba. So it's different. Sydney's gotten more reps, but they want Makuba to start.
Yeah, exactly.
Ringo's gotten more reps, and they want Ringo to start. So, it's his job to lose. Doesn't mean he can't lose it, because to your point, which is absolutely correct, Vic's not going to play him just because they want him to be the starter. If he thinks Adoree' Jackson is going to help him win more, he's going to play Adoree' Jackson.
No doubt about it. Johnny Mac, great show today. There's a couple of things. We have 7 minutes left to go. There's a couple of things a little off the Eagles that I want to talk about, but they will tie in to the Eagles. The one that ties into the Eagles I'll start with I'm sure you've already seen the news as we were on this show tonight. The Raiders released their standout defensive tackle, Christian Wilkins. They signed him a year ago, John, for 5 years or 4 years, $110 million.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
He's been released apparently over a dispute about surgery. They wanted him to get surgery, a foot surgery of some sort. He didn't want to do it. And now I'm sure they're going to be battling about the guaranteed money. John, you're probably going to be answering a lot of people.
Woo! That's a good player, by the way.
Wilkins.
That is a good player.
Really good.
I don't know. I don't know about the foot injury, so obviously that's going to complicate things. But man, he can play. But again, you just gave the contract. I mean, he makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the Eagles aren't in a position to pay that kind of money. Where does the contract go? Again, I don't know the health situation, but
I don't know. Can you try and decipher this? You've been around this game a lot longer than I have. So Ian Rappaport tweets out this: Christian Wilkins made $29.2 million last year and $20.5 this year already. That's $49.7 million for 5 games. He had another $8 million on the books. So is that the end of the guaranteed money with $8 million more? Why does he already have $20 million paid to him this year? I guess is that the signing bonus for this year?
Well, it's a roster bonus.
Maybe there's not as much guaranteed left as it sounds. I don't know. I'm trying to decipher. I don't have the intel. I'd have to look it up. I'm on the air, obviously. So.
Yeah, I gotta look up his contract, but obviously
we can talk about it in the morning too. We can talk about it.
But yeah, I mean most deals are 2-year deals, and then you can get out of it. So they probably paid him most of his guaranteed money. That's why they feel comfortable moving on. But again, he's the type of player that if he's healthy, he's still going to get pretty significant money. And again, that you have to do your due diligence as far as what's going on with his injury. So I'm just reading about it now. Additionally, the Raiders voided $35.2 million of guaranteed salary on his contract due to how he approached the rehab process. So, and Wilkins has filed a grievance.
Yeah, well, get ready for a lawsuit there. That's going to be a fucking shit show.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money. I find it very hard to believe the Raiders are going to win that. But I don't have. I don't know what, and again, you mentioned the surgery part of it. That usually is pretty cut and dry. If the guy needs surgery and he's not, he's refusing to get it, that's either a yes or no. So I don't know the details, but
it's going to be a battle.
Strange situation. You don't see it happening very often.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. They're going to be fighting about it for sure.
And playing in Miami. Yeah, it's a good player. Good player.
Really good player.
But no, I don't see him being here.
No, me neither. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it is important NFL news. John, one last thing I want to close the show out with.
When it's that much money, people are going to fight about it.
Yeah. Well, if your internet holds, we got 3.5 minutes left to go. John, pro wrestling legend Hulk Hogan died today at 71. I know you're obviously a WWE guy, a pro wrestling fan. Sad news for him to pass. I just wanted to give you a chance to give some thoughts, and maybe you had a cool story or two about Hulk Hogan. I know many people, John, think of Hulk Hogan. It reminds them of their childhood in some way. Your thoughts on Hulk Hogan dying today at 71 years old?
A lot of people, he had some issues later in his life after he finished wrestling where he was, there were audio tapes of him saying some negative things, racist things. And I think, that happens to a lot, I think, in the current era. And it's always strange to me that, because human beings are flawed and they make mistakes, that you ignore what they accomplished. Like, it's always, you want to erase what they accomplished. And I'm like, it already happened. I always use the Reggie Bush, taking the Heisman away from Reggie Bush because USC cheated. Why? It already happened. We saw it happen. Now, again, if you want to fix and you can't take the Heisman away. In his case, they took away, his legacy of being, the Babe Ruth of wrestling, basically. It's $1 billion industry today because of Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, his real name. If he doesn't exist, that's the import he had on that profession. And it's kind of been lost in all the scandal of the recent times. And I was talking to one of my friends. It's funny you bring it up. I wasn't even going to bring it up. It's like, they never did a documentary. They do, they started the WWE network. They never did they do all these documentaries on any of the big stars. They never did a documentary on Hulk Hogan, the biggest star of them all. Household name. Even people who don't like wrestling know Hulk Hogan. If he didn't, he's literally the guy that turned it into $1 billion industry it is today. Doesn't mean he didn't make mistakes, but why people want to erase history doesn't make sense to me.
Me neither.
Never makes sense to me. Even in the case of the most horrible cases, to bring it back to football, the most horrible case, O.J. Simpson.
I know where you're going. Yep.
He's not in a Hall of Fame for being a great father or a great husband. He's in a Hall of Fame for being a great football player. Now, I'm not advocating what he was alleged to do. I'm saying he was a great running back. That's it. I'm not going to say that didn't happen because he made some of the biggest mistakes you could ever make. It still doesn't take away what he did. And obviously it's much lesser with Hulk Hogan, but the biggest star in the history of that industry.
Interesting. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Johnny Mac, great show tonight, brother. I'll catch you in the morning. We're right back here, 8 a.m. tomorrow. No night show tomorrow, a morning show, and we'll wrap up the week. Johnny Mac, great show. Catch you tomorrow morning, brother.
All right. Thanks, all.
All right. Thanks, J-Mac. There's Johnny Mac joining us here on Birds 365. A great show tonight. All right. Good conversation there to close it out. That Christian Wilkins news is pretty crazy. All right. How about, by the way, because I want to close it on a lighter note, and I'm not staying here long tonight. All right, guys, I'm contented out today. I was on Masilio. I was here tonight. I was on them this morning, and I'm not complaining about it. But I spent the middle of my day at a fucking dealership in the waiting room for like 2.5 hours. I was agitated by the time I got out of there. All right, but what's up with Johnny Mac talking about Milton Williams like he's a pro football Hall of Famer? I mean, all right, I like Milton. To say that Jordan Davis could never be that is, I think, ridiculous. I mean, John hit me with, I said one of the most insane things I've ever said. I'm like, huh? The most insane thing I've ever said? Oh, shit, Fleming, did I miss your super? Oh, sorry, dude. Funny too. Fleming, please message me in the morning. I'll read it tomorrow. I'll read it now, but Fleming, message me on the morning show. I'll read it to John. Message me on the show tomorrow, and I'll bring it up to John. Fleming says, I agree with J-Mac. JD isn't a 3-tech, but more insane than Shipley being a slow white dude on a 60-yard run. Love JAKIB. It's dominated my whole day today. You already know John will have a field day with that one. Fleming, remind me in the morning. Real Rich says, damn, is it Birds 365 or Birds bedtime show? What are you talking about, Rich? I'm gassed up. I got work to do after this. In fact, I got my mics here. I got another camera here. All right. I got this camera on my hat because I'm recording some content in the car. I got my laptop here, and I'm producing all night. Yo, Rich. Take a lap, kid. Take a lap, kid. Fucking Rich. Billy Don, what up, Don? Flex, I'm always on the grind, my brother. I'm always 13 hours is light, Dio. Think about it, Dio. Every day I'm up 6, get ready for my 8 a.m. show. Cilio show ends at 6. For anybody that's ever done post-production, you understand that the show, when it ends, your work is really, you have a lot more to do. All right. Prince, I know what you're insinuating, you fucker. 13 hours. I mean, 13 hours is every day. 8 to 8 is 6 to 9 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And then I do other stuff that's kind of work too. I like working though. It's never bothered me. My girlfriend doesn't like how much I work, but I like working. Preston, sorry about earlier, by the way. I had no clue. He says, Zay, if you don't mind, I need you to tell me what you use for content filming. You got me wanting to lock in with the car. Ready? This is what I've been using. But Preston, it wasn't always this. So Preston, you know the video that I posted, the 5 things I love and hate about my new Corvette? That was all this. So this is the Osmo Pocket. This thing's pretty badass. All right, so this is the Osmo Pocket. Look, if you put it this way, it's on me now. That's long form. And then if you do this way, damn, I didn't want it to turn off. That's like real sized. Or like shorts sized, if you will. So you could do this way for like long form content. And then this way is for long way. So I use this a lot. This is really nice. This Osmo Pocket, it's called Osmo Pocket 3. That's fire. These are the mics I use. DJI Mic 2. They're really good. These are really good, these mics. Mic 2. There's 2 of them in there. Come with little wind guards, little case. Little wind guards. And then I use, this is the new camera I just got. This is the DJI Action 5. The Action 5. So those are the 3 different cameras. And actually, Preston, what I was using earlier before I got the cameras was I was using my iPhone, dude. Like the very first video, Preston, that I did in the car, I bought a C8 Corvette, it's titled, I think. I used my iPhone for that video. Now, I had somebody filming, but I used the iPhone for that. So Osmo Pocket 3, Action 5, and the Mic 2. It's all. I have the mini. The DJI Mini drone or whatever. I forget what it's called. Mavic Mini. The Mini 2, I think I have. It's okay, Prince. I'm not really a drone guy. I really suck with them. So I've never pulled it out, but I will admit it would be pretty cool to have car footage driving in, with the drone above my car. But I'm not real good with it, Prince. But it does shoot 4K video. Maybe I should be using that. But King James, what up, King James? Yo, look. I still got you right here, brother. I still got you right here, King James. You see that? King James, this is why when you do things for people, it's a cool thing to do because they hold it, they cherish it, they keep it, and they remember you. So always do cool things like this for people. This was a really cool thing you did for me, bro, and I appreciate that a lot. It still sits in my office every day. Right here. There you go. Right there, brother. So that's in my office, man. That's in my office. I appreciate it, Philly Don. Thank you, bro. Any interest in Christian Wilkins? Absolutely, but the money's got to be right, obviously, for this team. We'll see. We'll see. Jerome would be good for ZK's garage. Yeah, it would be, man. All right, guys, I'm out of here, man. I appreciate all you guys. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Apologize for that. I'm going to get out of here. I do appreciate it, man. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. It's great to see everybody in here, man. We've obviously had a great offseason, but when football season rolls around, everybody's back in the mix a lot more, So Flex, good to see you. B. Preston's in here. One of our B. Preston, I think you're a newer fan, right? You're not. I don't know how long you've been following Jacob. Big Mike, good to see you, my guy. B. Fleming's in here. Tony, my guy, Tony. Love you, Tony. Appreciate you, brother. Dio, Prince, I love you, Prince. Fiddlesworth is in here. I saw Joe Whip earlier. I saw all the OGs. Josh B is back. Ethan's in here. Crowley was in here. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all of you guys for sure. Thank you for everything. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, watching, and being here with me, man. You guys make the days go by, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Great show today, by the way. I'm pretty excited with how camp has started. I know people are, it's one. I know. Like, are you guys stupid? Do I have to tell you guys that? Oh, it's 1 day, 2 days. I know. I don't think I have to tell you guys that. It's exciting. It's okay to be excited. It's okay to enjoy camp. You don't have to let everybody piss on your parade because they don't want to give anybody flowers for 1-2 days of camp. I don't really give a shit. All right. I'm excited. I'm enjoying camp. I'm enjoying the videos. I'm enjoying the storylines. I'm enjoying reading about the players. I love it all. And you can too. All right. Just because, 2 days. 2 days. Shut up. I know. And Twiz has me laughing. Twiz, he says Italian goodbye for another half hour. That's so true, Twiz. It's the mother. It's my mother in me, Twiz. All right? Fuck you, Twiz. Yeah, Twiz. Fuck you, Twiz. I hope your starling shits the bed tonight. Oh, Frosty, thank you, dude. Appreciate it, man. Taking the CA out tomorrow. Tony, get me some footage. I'll post it up on ZKs. All right, everybody. I love all you guys, man, including you, Twizzler, and you, Campbell Case, and you, Big Mike, and Don. Fleming, remind me in the morning. I'll read your chat. All right, dude? All right, everybody. Love all you guys. Great freaking show. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm going to pull a Twiz on you. I'm going to pull a Twiz on you. I got to do one more thing, and I can't. If I end the show, it won't let me do it on YouTube side. All right, there we go. Let me get this final segment pulled so I can get ready to post it tonight. All right, that's pulled now. All right, I can officially leave. Thank you all. Love all you guys, and I'll see you next time in the morning tomorrow, 8 to 10 a.m. on Birds 365. Love all you guys. See you.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.